our pal Will Dawkins. Good morning, Will.
How are you, buddy?
Man,
congratulations.
There he is.
You did it.
Good morning.
You did it.
Good morning. How are we doing?
How late
We're
was
doing
your
great.
how late was your night?
It was pretty late, but when you get the number one pick, you don't mind staying up late for those nights.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that you kind of couldn't sleep the night before, and you went through your notes one last time, etc. Did you, even though you only got a few hours, did you sleep a little better when it was all said and done?
Slept pretty well last night. I can't complain. I can't complain at all.
You know, Will, we were lucky enough to be joined by your guy Michael Winger last night. He sat down with us at around, I want to say it was like 7:10, maybe 7:15, like less than an hour before the pick was made. He looked remarkably calm, composed,
Just had a smile,
at peace. Like he was feeling good last night heading into that draft. I'm guessing you were kind of sharing the same mindset.
Yeah, he told me he ran into you guys and was able to hop in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've never had one before here or when I've been in my other situation, and it is kind of calming when you don't have anyone in front of you and you have to kind of strategize or game plan and be reflective of who you might get. We kind of just settled on the decision, made peace with it, and feel really good about it.
Yeah, so many questions about that. I had said I wouldn't want this pick just because, did you ever feel any pressure? Like, okay, it's a talent-rich draft. You had 10 teams tanking for all these kids. So many great kids. Like, it's understood. Great players and great kids. So in some sense, you can't go wrong when you're at one, but you kind of can, because ultimately when it's all said and done, Will, there's going to be somebody from this draft that's probably going to be considered the best. And there'll probably be a guy that's right next to him, but there's probably going to be one guy that's the best. Did that ever weigh you down that we got to nail this and get the best one?
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. I would say there's definitely a pressure, but it was a good pressure. It's more of something that you want when you take a job like this. You want to be in these situations to have the opportunity to choose the player who you think is best for your organization. And a draft like this that you talked about, where they're full of high-character young men who are elite-level talents, like there's a lot of players that would go one in a lot of drafts. But with us, we valued that, and we wanted that good pressure, and I think we were able to work it through to find AJ. And there's no doubt that he matches up with those other guys that have gone at the top of the draft. He has that number one level talent, and we were just fortunate that there's multiple options in this year's draft, but I think we found the best one for us.
Will, I'm sure you're not going to tell us when you landed on Dybantsa as the pick, but when you do, whenever that is, how do you keep a lid on it with you and your staff, as far as, like, you guys are remarkably proficient at keeping that under wraps? Nobody knew who the pick was.
I was stunned.
You weren't tipping your hand, which I think is great. I think it's awesome to have it under wraps until the last minute. You want to keep everybody guessing.
I'd rather know.
I'd rather be in suspense. It's like watching a suspenseful movie. Like, how do you keep it under wraps like that for so long, however long, until you landed on Dybantsa as the pick? Yeah,
I think the way we try to go about our business is just in a professional manner, and make sure that the people who are in the know can understand how valuable information is, and we trust our staff. And it was obviously a big decision, but with that, you still have work to do and different things that can come your way. So tilting your hand one way or the other probably isn't the most strategic thing for us, and we just want to make sure we have as many advantages going into the night as possible. So you got to trust the people you're around and make sure that everybody's in the boat, and I think that's what you saw from our organization yesterday.
So everybody knows, and you guys had the great story and the great video of you guys playing ball while the draft is going on. You've been through this before. It never seemed to work. We'll just play ball and try not to think about it, right? We get that?
Yeah.
Saw it. Great moment.
That was a pretty good summary right there, yeah.
Yep, great moment. But then when you finally get the word and you go, oh, it's one, you guys are high-fiving, your chest bumping the whole nine. We all saw it. Can you at least say this? Because we know that you've been scouting these guys and you've seen them since they're 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. We get it. In the back of your mind, did you at least think, man, we might get AJ? Like, was he the leader in your brain before you had done the deep dive? In your brain, were you thinking, I think we just got AJ Dybantsa? Were you thinking that?
In my brain, I was thinking we just got AJ. I was thinking we have opportunity to take these other guys, and I hope that they are who we think they are.
Right.
And I can't wait to get to know them and meet them and, like, really dive deep. But he's someone that's been at the top of his class for a really long time, and we've been watching for over 3-4 years now. So we know how talented he really is. We had a bunch of information and data points on him, and you're just hoping that what you've heard about him and who he is actually true. And we got that opportunity to go to BYU, spend some time with the staff, talk to some of his teammates, coaches, everyone all the way down.
And it matched up.
And it matched up. So that was a good thing. And then you get to spend some time with him and his representation and family here in D.C., and you feel even better about that situation. I think a few days after that is when you ask about timing, you feel really good about it.
So you threw me when you described Darren Peterson as Pierce, and I know Darren Peterson's great. And I think he's gonna be a great player too. But when we asked you the one word thing, and we were trying to trick you up a little bit, and you said, "Oh, consistent scorer, high riser," I'm like, "Yeah, blah 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 blah."
That was for AJ.
When you said Peterson fierce, and my brain went to a pretzel, and I was like, "Well, they're going Peterson."
Were you trying to throw us?
What's a better adjective than Pierce? Than fierce?
Fierce.
Forgive me.
Yep.
I remember that very well that day, the day after the draft lottery. I got to know him, and I got to know all of these kids throughout the process. I think that adjective sticks.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a really, really long career. He's an impressive, mature young man, and I wish him nothing but the best.
We're joined by Will Dawkins, Washington Wizards general manager, on the Rude Guest Hotline. Will, did you ever come close to dealing the pick? Were you tempted by any offers? Did you get offers like up until draft
I was going to
day,
ask you that.
on draft night? Did you come close to dealing the pick, or were you just like, you know what, this is too valuable? We
can't give up on AJ. Yeah.
We have to draft him here.
Yeah, I think your phone's busy, like Michael and I talked about right after. Like, we understand that it's a business and people are going to call and make decisions, and teams definitely did. We know how valuable the number one pick is, so we want to make sure we do our due diligence, but we also know how special and how different AJ Dybantsa was, and it really didn't get close. We knew we wanted to keep that pick for our fans, for our city, for the organization, for what he can do when you add him to the group that we have. So it was going to take something extremely rare and extremely special to make us punt on an extremely rare and special talent in AJ.
Did Ted have any sort of weight in terms of selecting a player? Like, how is Ted involved in this, if at all?
Ted and Zach, they're awesome. They support us throughout everything. They want to know, and we want to give them some information, but they definitely met up and were able to be at the workout and spend some time watching. But they just wanted to be around to get to know him and see him and be able to answer any questions. But this decision was all Michael, myself, and our staff. They're not weighing input on that too much, if at all.
I kind of want to go big picture with you here, Will. So you've been here for 3 years, right? And when you got here, the team had Bradley Beal, it had Kristaps Porzingis, it had Kyle Kuzma. You're able to draft Bilal Coulibaly in that first draft. The team starts changing a little bit. You trade Denny Avdia, who's become an all-star along the way. You draft Sarr that year, Bub, Keyshawn. Then this last year, you make some moves. You trade for Trae Young. You trade for Anthony Davis. And now you draft AJ Dybantsa. I'm wondering, along the way in 3 years, what was the toughest decision you made? Was it tough to trade Bradley Beal? What was the toughest thing you've done in the 3 years to get to this point?
Yeah, the 3 years has kind of flown by. It's wild when you say that, but we have been able to alter the organization, I think, in a good way. For me, it's probably not one specific decision, but if I had to say that, it's sitting down and informing the people that need to know that we're going to go through this deconstruction phase and everything that goes about it and how aligned you have to be in going through it and how strategic you have to be and look more big picture, knowing that it's going to be a rocky way and probably not the best level of basketball for your fans to get behind. So I think making that decision was something that was hard and difficult, and sticking with it is always challenging. But at the end of the day, like we said, we thought it was the right decision for where we wanted to go, because the ultimate goal was to get a bunch of young players that the fans and the city can get behind, that can play the right way and have some continuity and build towards something that's sustainable and sustained success, the goal for us. So I think a lot of tough decisions, but making sure that we stayed on course and we're going to continue to stay the course would probably be the one that pops up more often than not.
And Will, we've been talking about it this morning, taking calls from fans, and we've been talking about it the last few weeks, assuming you were going to get AJ or Peterson. But there are now expectations for this team. Who knows what's going to happen with Davis? I know you're not going to tell us. but you inked Trey. He's inked for a lot of money for the next few years. You've got some really good young players. There are expectations of this team, and we got to get these 17-win seasons out of our mind. And fans and media are now expecting some really good things going forward. I'm not going to go into how many games you guys are going to win or what you think, but you realize there are now expectations for this roster big time. How do you in the front office kind of feel about that?
Yeah, I think we're excited. You want to have expectations on your team. We have expectations internally that we put on ourselves to get better and improve. And it was kind of a conversation that we all had before we even left for the off-season break, is that we want to be more competitive this year. And we wanted there to be expectations in our gym that our players will be fighting and being more competitive for their own personal minutes, and make sure you're in the gym and getting better so that when we try to take that step next year to be more competitive, it's going to be a dogfight and it's going to be earned. So for us, we're all competitive. It's a very challenging and difficult sport, and it's hard to win basketball games. But at the end of the day, like we talked about the pressure of making that number one pick, we want the pressure of being competitive every single night, and we think we'll be better at that this year. And for us, that's kind of the goal.
So we talked to John Wall last night, and he talked about what he anticipates the style of play and maybe what needs to change for some of the guys, specifically Trae Young. So Trae Young throughout his career is, 25-10 guy, but a very ball-dominant guy. AJ Dybantsa seems to be a guy who needs the ball in his hands. He's not a Richard Hamilton come-off picks type of player, right? Will you have Trae modify his play a little bit and maybe not take as many shots and ball handle as much?
Yeah, we want to have as many decision makers on the basketball court as possible. I think that's how it makes you dangerous. There's got to be a level of buy-in from everyone to allow each person to make those decisions. But when you look at our team and you look at how we drafted and the players we acquired, they all, for the most part, think the game at a high level, can move the ball, can space, have length, versatility, and know how to play on and off the ball. So I think we'll see a style of basketball that's a little different, but hopefully more dangerous. And I think the guys bought in and want to be a part of that. And I can't wait for everybody to get in the building, spend some time with Coach Keefe and the staff, and kind of create the perfect system that we want to start the season with. But I think everyone to a man knows that it's going to be we over me this year. And we're going to move the ball, share the ball, and do our best to just attack from different angles. And I think it'll look more functional. And at the end of the day, like I said, guys are really motivated, and they're motivated to win, and they're motivated to compete. And I think you'll see that buy-in from our guys this year.
I just want to get back to the AJ kind of process. When you draft AJ, did it matter that it was kind of like a perfect fit for the personnel you had, or is AJ such a unique guy? It didn't matter who was on your roster. You couldn't pass up on this ability and character, etc.
Yeah, like we always say, we draft people first, and he checked the box on that. The guy has a lot of the values that we value, just in terms of community and family and work ethic, just passion for the game. Like, he's going to continue to get better. So he checked that box. But yeah, he's a rare talent that we were going to take the best player available. When you have an opportunity like that, it just happens to be that the things that we look for on our 94 by 50 chart, he has a lot of them. And he fits very well with our young players that we've drafted. And that's the group that we're going to continue to bet on to be here and grow and develop at their own pace. But when you talk about size, positional size, versatility, quick decision-making, supreme athlete, he's the best athlete we've tested through the draft the last 3 or 4 times we've done it since we've been here. Ability to make decisions, to live at the rim, be 95th percentile in assists, but also 91st percentile in field goals at the rim.
No, it's pretty special.
Also being 100th percentile of living on the rim, getting to the free throw line. So he just fits a lot of boxes. I think he's a big guard. You can play him in a lot of different areas, like you can with Will, like you can with Keyshawn, like you can with Bilal. It just gives you a lot of optionality, which is important for the coach staff. And when you put him in the mix of our guards, we were looking at it yesterday, we'd be tied for the tallest, and then we'd be the longest wingspan among all guards in the league. So again, we talked about wanting to be defensive and long and versatile, and he just adds to that.
How many guards are you including in that equation?
Score.
How many guards are you including?
Yeah.
All of them. Because if you just put him and
including
Trey, it wouldn't be the
Yeah,
case.
including him. No, including our group of guards.
I know you're saying it's the whole group. It's not just the starters.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, when you put Bilal, Keyshawn, him out there at the same time with Alex, and that's pretty special.
Pretty long group. Yeah. Somebody asked him to compare himself to an NBA guy that maybe we haven't heard before, and he brought up Lenny Bias, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't think of that. I think it's actually a great comparison, just in terms of ability, talent, etc. Do you like that comparison?
I don't mind that one at all.
Right.
I'm glad he was able to pull that out. I don't know who showed him tape on Lenny Bias.
Yeah,
I had to learn.
That's a story.
That's
That's good.
pretty,
I like that.
pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
And I think stylistically, and obviously tragic, nobody wants that. But like from a playing perspective, it's actually a pretty great comparison, I think.
Yeah, he was pretty special. We had a dinner the other night, and a bunch of people that are local DC, but also mixed in with our coaching staff, and we were just talking about just the DMV Mount Rushmore for people who didn't make the Hall of Fame or won't make the Hall of Fame in basketball. Mm-hmm. I think everybody agreed that he was on it. But that was actually a pretty fun conversation. But again, AJ is unique. I think he is himself. We haven't really seen someone that has the length and athleticism here on our roster. And there's a lot of players he's watched growing up, but I think he's going to be one of one and be AJ Dybantsa, and we look forward to that.
Should he become an MVP of the league?
Should he become?
Yes.
I think he's going to strive. I think he's got
that talent.
A lot of work to do, but he's got size, talent, and upside to continue to get there. But that's a really high bar. I know it's on his to-do list. My to-do list is to get him in town and get him ready for Summer League.
Yeah, when can that start?
What are the plans for Summer League?
Yeah. What's the rule on that?
Does he have to sign a contract, or can you get him in the gym today?
You can't keep players like out the gym. He'll probably come in and grab some shots and do some things. But once July rolls around, we'll probably work on the contract and get that set up so that he's pretty good to go for Summer League. We obviously have night 2 of the draft tonight, and hopefully we draft a couple more guys with that pick and bring them in and play Summer League. But the guys who've been doing the jump season, and we can't wait to see them play as well. So we'll have a good amount of our rookies from last year playing. Mix in some free agents to take a look at them. We'll start practice here on the 2nd, I believe, of July, and then fly out to Vegas on the 8th, and I think our first game will be 9th or 10th. We haven't got that schedule yet.
Hey, Cake said you could take a vacation this week.
No, I jumped the gun.
You amended it?
You can go on vacation in August, Will. You're good. You still got to stay at work for the time
There's
being.
this little thing called free agency coming up.
I slept
After
on that.
tonight, we'll transition into that.
Yeah.
Hey,
gotcha.
congratulations, Will. It's just an amazing day for the franchise, for the fans. And, you've been so great to us. We really appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon, man.
No, man, appreciate you guys. Thanks again for covering it last night.
Of course.
Good
of course.
stuff.
Will Dawkins,
Thank you, buddy.
Wizards GM here on the Junkies.